who creates standards? A lot of people would probably say, well, standards must be created by the government. But in fact, most standards are not created by any government, and the most useful standards are not created by government at all. Most standards are created by standard-setting organizations, like the ISO, the International Standard Organization, or ANSI, the American National Standards Institute, or ASTM, the American Society for Testing and Materials. All of these standard-setting organizations are usually organized as nonprofit firms. These firms are not in the business just to make a profit. They are in business to allow other firms to operate through them in order to better serve the public. They're the grease between the gears of commerce. Why would your firm adopt a standard by a private nonprofit firm like ISO or ANSI or ASTM and not a governmental standard? Let's go back to the light bulb example. Let's say you represent a company that would like to sell their light bulbs to everybody who has lamps. If everybody has lamps with bases that can accept your light bulbs, and this base is the same for every light bulb, you could probably sell a lot more light bulbs because you've met the standard. On the other hand, if you decide to reject the standard for whatever reason and choose to manufacture a bulb with a base that's half the size of the standard size, what will happen is you may not sell many light bulbs. Few companies are going to build lamps only for your company's specific non-standard light bulb. All of the companies that make light bulbs and all of the companies that make lamps are going to do better if they adopt a standard. The standard actually benefits us as consumers as well, because if everybody adopts the same standard, manufacturers get very good at producing products that meet a particular standard. In this case, the cost of the light bulbs and the lamps come down rather dramatically. Why? Because of economies of scale. Standards that are used can be open standards or closed standards. An open standard is a specification that's open and free to use. Anybody can use it. This means it has to have availability, no licensing or royalty fees, and it's not controlled by a single vendor or company or government. A closed standard is a licensed specification. You actually have to get a license to use that particular standard, probably for a fee. Most economists like open standards, created by nonprofit firms, and there's a reason for that. There are a number of standard-setting organizations competing with each other. If somebody produces a standard that's not very good, you can rest assured that a competing standard is going to come along and displace the unpopular one. That rarely happens when you have a mandatory government standard. When you have a mandatory government standard, the government dictates that everybody will follow the standard. The standard is unlikely to change over a very long period of time and become stale very quickly. That's not to the benefit of the public. You probably have a device that plays MP3s, music recordings, or podcasts. MP3 is a standard. It was one of the many competing standards, and it seems to be the one that has gained the most traction. It's actually an audio standard from the Motion Picture Experts Group, MPEG. It allows you and I to listen to high-quality music on devices from many different manufacturers and supplied by many different music retailers who deliver in the MP3 format. The MP3 standard may not be the technically best format for audio files, but it is a voluntarily agreed upon standard that has provided impressive interoperability and, more importantly, has been voluntarily adopted by thousands of manufacturers as well as music artists. To summarize, a standard is a documented agreement, and it usually contains some technical specifications or some precise criteria to be used consistently as rules or guidelines or definitions of characteristics ensuring that products and processes and services actually have some commonality.